picture as we transition from this land of the north to the daughter of Babylon. And if y'all can remind me, I want to circle back to this Zechariah to close out and just read the whole thing, chapter 2 at the end. But the beginning part of it shows the transition. I think we talked about it last week. So it's on the screen as we transition. Zechariah chapter 2 and 6. He says, "Behold, come forth and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahweh, for I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven." What's that? From last week. I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven. Tazapon, saith Yahweh. It goes on to say the very next verse, especially to Zion. Usually when it says even, that's italicized, that means they added it, but it more so means to Zion specifically. Deliver yourselves, you that dwell with the daughter of Babylon. So the first verse, verse 6, he says, flee from the land of the north. The second verse, he says, deliver yourselves, you that dwell with the daughter of Babylon. And that's how I had the connection. This is what inspired me to do the whole entire teaching period. And I seen this connection, and you know, you might have read it before, but my eyes was open when I read it this time, that we are in the land of the north and we are in the daughter of Babylon. So before I continue on from the current events up to this point, did anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? Brother Burge.
I was curious, and I don't know if you're going to have this in there, but when you was talking about, or when you showed that clip of Canadian Prepper, I was we'd be on the same page, but I was watching him and actually saw that. Along with that, though, he had some military guys. It was like in the same clip, or it came up in my feed, where they was really boast, like, you know, they was almost talking like, naming off all the things that the U.S. have as far as the military, and saying like, you know, if you want to bring it, bring it. It was like very, it made me think of Obadiah, and I was wondering, are you going to even, is that in there like that one book?
I wrote this, I did not have it in here. I wrote it when I was sitting here at the thing to get to it, because it's gonna, we might do it for Sharash Ibar, because it's kind of the same word. So, but I did write it down. That's crazy. That's crazy. But the spirit, I would say that's amazing. The spirit of the Most High is real, man. Again, we be on the same page. So all praises to the Father for that. Anybody online, did y'all have a question or comment real quick? And Chef, I know you got that right.
Yes, sir. Nobody had none?
Okay.
I would.
You got you, Mario.
I just wanted to say, when Marianne had posted those verses from the Quran this week, marking how even their books saying how we're the people, we're the chosen ones of the Most High. And like a day later, I was listening to some scripts, and now that you're bringing this out, right? I was like, and it's doubling back to what our Verge said, like, show me your text, show me your holy scriptures that predicted this. Like, no one can match the Israelite scrolls. So why would I leave what I'm doing? All praise to the Most High.
I agree. Zamaria.
Yes, sir. I just had a question. Maybe you already expounded upon it and I missed it. I'm sitting down here writing scriptures down, but Zechariah 2 and 7, it said, even to Zion, deliver yourselves. Did you expand upon exactly what that means? Because when I thought of that, I'm thinking about all these people picking up and, you know, I'm
trying to get up out of here.
And trying to get up out of here. What does that exactly mean?
Good question. We did talk about that last week. But it's no problem. Because, you know, of course, in our community, we have these things called a flea doctrine. And that could be one of the scriptures that they use. And if you read, like, it may be the very next line, but it says the Most High is going to deliver you. But also, I do believe that the Most High is going to set up a way that we're not confused. We're not thinking like, do I, and that's what we fast for as well. But the Most High is going to have I believe, according to him saying, he does say, get out or deliver yourself or flee if you want to use it. I believe that word is nawas, but I didn't have time to break that word down. So anybody on the side, if you want to do that, feel free. But the Most High is going to allow us, just like the first Exodus, a time to get us out of here.
My this Greek, I know Shamaria got one when he came, but this Greek study Bible is very helpful, Shamaria, because that verse in Zechariah 2:7, deliver thyself. There's a reference next to deliver thyself, and it's pointing to Deuteronomy chapter 32 and 10. So I went to it, and it says, this is Deuteronomy 32 and 10 for deliver thyself. It says, he found him in a desert land, and in the waste howling wilderness, he led him about, he instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. So that supports what you just said. I was going to do it for us.
And then that sounds just like, we're going to circle back to this Zechariah anyway. That's what I Most High will want to finish it off with, because it's an actual positive message. So that all praises, and that gives me confidence sometimes to come up here and do the class, because verses like that, one of the Akiam or Akwaf are gonna bring it out. So I appreciate that. That really answered the question with a precept. So if y'all been following what we've been saying, we started off with the land of the north, Tazapon, and it started to transition into this daughter of Babylon. Isaiah chapter 47, the whole chapter is about the virgin daughter of Babylon. So of course you can just turn your Bible to Isaiah, or your scroll to Isaiah chapter 47. I have some of the key verses that stuck out to me on the screen, and then you can just follow along. If y'all, when you get there, you say Shema. Shema. And this is going to start to describe some of the characteristics, because with the land of the north, we didn't get necessarily clear descriptions, but with the English, but through the pictograph, we started to get a better idea of what that could mean. And now we're going to start getting actual descriptions of this virgin daughter of Babylon. And it's going to, as it continues to transition in to mystery Babylon as well. So verse 1, Isaiah 47 and 1, and I might call on some of y'all to read as well, but I like reading too. So we'll kind of just mix it up. So I'll go ahead and get it started though. Isaiah 47 and 1, it says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans, from what I'm seeing, is pretty much like a elite class of people within the nation. So they kind of go along with, the Chaldeans would be considered those people who made the doomsday clock, the prognosticators, the astrologists, the scientists. That's what the Chaldeans would represent. And it says, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. So, well, let me keep going before I ask this question. Sit thou, verse 5, skipping down to verse 5. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt be no more called the lady of kingdoms. So that's why I have this picture of the Statue of Liberty up here, because it's the nation, our nation that we are a captive in, has symbolized itself with this symbol. And we're going to learn more about this as the class goes. But when you hear Lady of the Kingdoms, is this not one of the first 2 or 3 things you think about? So I said, the clues start to continue to show up. And I may have wrote the wrong verse, so let me make sure.
Verse 6.
6? Okay, because I wrote 5, right? So the next verse, 6. I was wroth with my people, so he was wroth with us. And he says, I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into your hands. So the Most High, because we know our situation go all the way back to Deuteronomy, get back to the beginning. So the Most High is keeping up with his promises that he's going to give us over into a nation and scatter us to a land that we know not. And then it says that you, O daughter of Babylon, has shown my people no mercy. And upon the ancient, meaning the elderly, you have shown, or you have very heavily laid your yoke. That's why Akmarah has these yokes of iron on our elders up here, in the classroom, for those that, are in the classroom. So far, these 3 characteristics here, anybody, what comes to mind, or does this remind you of our current captivity that we're in right now? Any in the chat? Okay, just making sure. So one more, and then let me just keep it going. So verse 7, am I on track, Chef?
On track.
And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that you didst not lay these things to heart, neither did you remember the latter end of it. Verse 8, therefore now hear this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in your heart, I am, and there's none beside me. Then we read that early in the prayer in the Sador. In the Sador, like the prayer, verse 12 in the prayer.
Yes.
What does it say? Ms. Gina?
It says, "O Yah, have mercy upon the people that is called by thy name, and upon Yasharal, whom thou hast named thy firstborn."
So it might not be verse 12, but it's one of those verses that say something similar.
He's talking about
15.
they say there's none other but we.
Oh, there's no other but thee. There is one. Shouldn't sign
Right here, 10,
10.
verse 10.
Smite and sunder the heads of the rulers of the heathen that say, there is none other but we.
And we read this prayer so many times, and this is the first time this morning that came to my mind when we read it, and I thought about this. Smite and sunder the heads of the rulers of the heathen that say, there's none other but we. Most High says to Isaiah, Yashayah, therefore now say this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Why would this characteristic go with America? And anybody can say what they believe, think, or know. It's saying that I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. And remember, verse 1 called it the virgin daughter of Babylon.
I'm just taking a stab at it. We'll say this country hasn't seen war on this soil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that is absolutely right. If you didn't hear Brother Verge, he said, because this nation has never really seen war on its soul. And go ahead, Marah. Soil.
And I'm just conjecturing here, but I think the other nations are jealous that y'all don't know what it's like. Even though I don't care about these people, but I'm human. So, we talk bold and cocky in here, but it does touch you when you see the little kids bleeding and stuff. Even though, this is judgment. But I think the other nations are jealous that these Americans don't know what it's like to be hearing them bombs. And your children, but the children out playing in landmines because they ain't got nothing else to do. So it's destruction coming to this land.
100% agree. I 100% agree. Can I get Brother Anthony to read 47 and 9?
Before you do that,
Oh, go ahead.
that all, what we just read, therefore hear this, you love of pleasures who sit securely, who say in your heart, I am, there is no one besides me. I should not say that, it just reminds me of, what is it, Psalms 41, I believe. Psalms 40, no, Psalms 49, 149:11. Got it right here. Reading out of ESV. Actually, no, in fact, King James sounds better. So it says, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. And it goes on to say they call their lands after their own names.
Wow. That's all praise to the Most High for you guys to be here and the spirit to be here, because that's a great precept. And it shows again what Marah was bringing out, that what other book has these things written thousands of years before time. So all praise to the Most High for that.
Go ahead, Joe.
I think it's interesting when you look at because that's a good point you bring it out right now, Shamaria, with the version. I forgot the brother that just spoke to in application of the version of daughter of Babylon, and how we see in this sense the term virgin is used symbolically, but not having anything to do with intercourse or sex or nothing like that. We can see the land is virgin in a sense where it hasn't experienced war and things like that. And now just in reflecting of it, I was thinking of just in that sense, how on that same line, how when you think on the vice versa, how America has prostituted herself, by going everywhere else and going on other people's land and causing war and doing stuff like that. So you can see how her whore's ways in that sense, like her mother, Babylon. But, now that you do that, it just really helped me reflect how another reason why without decoding the scriptures, how we can just read on page and we can see stuff in our mind automatically will go to our current understanding. But if you don't unpeel the layers and do like we're doing now, trying to understand the language and trying to really line upon line, precept upon precept, you completely be thrown off, because in some cases, virgin does mean virgin in a literal sense. But then in other cases, you can see how virgin don't necessarily mean that. So just wanted to speak on that and point that out because that is the first time I've seen it from that perspective, now you brought it out. So looking forward to how far you take this thing.
All praises, all praises. Real quick comment too. The Most High obviously is the inventor of speech and language, and we think that we got cold brothers who can rap and use metaphors and similes and these types of things, but that's what we got it from him. So we've heard plenty of times someone say something about doing an action or alluding to something that is not the actual thing, but we get the correlation. And that's all the Most High is doing when he's writing. He's relating the message in ways that we can understand. So I appreciate it. We just give all credit to the Most High for continuing to peel back the layers of this thing. Go ahead, Chef.
I've seen a post online talking about, this land is Babylon, Egypt, and Mississippi River is crazy, all that stuff. We all know where it's coming from. And so I have to get offline because I want to say, but a lot of times it's not even worth it because they're not they can't give you food. So I'm not trying to let it go. But when I look at this verse in Isaiah 47:8, it's real braggadocious. Therefore, hear now this, that those that are given to pleasure, as well as carelessly, they says in thine heart, I am, and none else beside this. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the lawful children. You out here like they the pigs in the bags. They should have kept old boy Mr. Trump in office. What he said, we gotta make America great. That's what he's alluding to. He ain't talking about our economy. He's saying, look, we not the baddest no more. Y'all need to wake up. He know all this stuff that's going on in the forefront in the background. And he's so braggadocious. This fits his narrative. Y'all want to, hey, if you want to do it, let's do it. What did he tell Kim Jong? Let's go. I got my hand on the button.
I dare you. Chef,
That's a good point.
all praises, man. I don't even know if I was able to put a slide in here, so we just gonna talk about it right now. I wanted to make it a point, and I can't remember if I did or not, because it was so much stuff. But that's what this nation is known for. So a lot of this stuff is gonna start overlapping, just to put that out there. But he talks multiple times about, oh, thou most proud. So when I thought about it, I said, y'all remember those commercials? What say it?
Proud to be American.
That's one. And then there's the other one, the few, the proud. I know I was gonna get it. I just said. So I said, but your spirit, the spirit that the Most High placed on you to bring that up, I was like, I can't let the moment pass. So I was like, man, that was a point that I never really thought about until I started doing this version of the class. And I'm like, but that's all they do. Like, what other, like, it's right there. Like, we can say, oh, it's not this, it's Rome, it's, whatever, it's a religion. But the characteristics is slowly starting to build. Like, we're literally in a land where they call themselves the most proud. So, and that's talked about in Jeremiah, that's talked about in Isaiah, that's talked about in Revelation. So, Miss Joy.
I was going to say in verse 7 where it says, I shall be a lady forever. And we think, that symbolism of that lady being freedom, that's where their pride comes in. They think they're going to be free forever and they're going into captivity. So that's really interesting with the symbol.
Absolutely. And we're going to get more into that symbol as well.
You're smart. Off of something Chef was saying too, that this nation, and when I read this script and we think about how proud this nation is, you actually got to understand too, this nation been dealing just treacherous acts across the world. And they said that I think this nation, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a young nation. I think they say, was it 300 years or something like that? And they've been at war every year except for like 5 years or something like that. So you just been out here just wilding.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like your time ain't gonna come.
I'm holding my comments because, man, y'all got it, man. I'm gonna expound on what you just said, but I'm gonna just wait till I get to it. Go ahead, Chef.
Go ahead, Noreen.
Khan, I just wanted to comment off what Shamaria is saying as far as like just the pride over here. Of course, you have the military might they are so proud of and everything else. Then of course the alphabet community with their whole Pride Month. And I can't think of the precept right off the top of my head, but I mentioned this to Mariah and Shamaria earlier in the week regarding Sodom and Gomorrah and just how they were proud and they boasted in their sins. So they're proud of their sin. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you for that, because that whole thing about pride of the community, I wanted to just throw that as a caveat as well. So that's where you came in with the dagger. I appreciate it. Did everybody catch what he was saying? Okay, great. So Anthony, let's read Isaiah 47:9.
Isaiah 47, verse 9. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries. and for the great abundance of thine enchantments.
It says, but these two things that verse was just talking about, that I would say Abijah was just talking about, that the other nations, he's adding conjecture that they must feel some type of way that their children have never felt, this nation's children have never felt war in their own land, or worrying about a bomb hitting somewhere or anything like that. And boasting here, as we all harped on, Isaiah 47:8, and how proud this nation is, then the Most High immediately comes back and says, but both of these things is going to come to this place, whoever this place is, we still hashing it out, and that they're going to come in their perfection. So it's going to be a complete judgment. It's going to be a total judgment. It's not going to be a partial. It's going to be complete. And then he goes on to say that it's going to happen in one day. In one day. And then it says the reasons why is because of the multitude of your sorceries, which we're going to touch on that just a little bit later, especially the conspiracy people. And then the great abundance of your enchantments. The great abundance of your enchantments. So all praises to the Most High. I told Marah this morning, he said, did you get your Sharash Ibar? I said, barely, at the last second, because I had another word in mind, but it was...
Oh, here you go. I gotta do this. Can you go back to that last slide? Because as you read it, I said, someone may say it don't make sense. I think we can flesh it out, but their desolation coming in one day, I don't think it's literally one day. I think it most closely is like one period of time, not ages. I'm going to judge you in one period. Because like right now, what you're setting up, their judgment is coming.
Right.
The Most High is set, so it's going to be like, I will have to get more witnesses, but I believe he meant like in one era, not a multiple eras. I'm going to judge y'all in a close proximity of time.
I can see that because it's kind of like something that's already been happening. But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna comment. I thought a while ago we brought out something about how like sometimes in the Bible the year doesn't, or a month doesn't really mean how we interpret it. So
I'm not really sure yet, because it's gonna be other this precept is coming back, so we can talk about it later. But this precept is coming back about that 1 day, 1 hour. I'm still leaning towards maybe it's saying like, more closer to like an actual day. But like you said, this is something that can be hashed out. And either way, we know that there's a period of time where the judgment is coming. But we'll have more precepts and witnesses, and maybe if it's not hashed out, now it can be hashed out later. Somebody had
all praise to the Most High. I might be y'all can get me right if I'm wrong. But I agree when they say that about this being a Christian nation. And the reason I say that is when I think about
that it's not a Christian nation.
That it is. I think that they intended it to be, because that was a front. And I think about the spirit behind, like you said, to ultimately, set up and impose what they really wanted, the agenda they really wanted to bring in. And I just think about the spirit behind Christianity. First of all, they believe in a false, that's not the real Messiah. Second of all, their belief is that, like, I literally have friends who are Christians who say they're sin and be like, well, he died for my sin so that I can. And that's really the majority of a lot of people, like this grace mentality. So really, all in all, the Christian spirit behind it is just a front to show you, to present themselves as an angel of light. And when you present what's real to them in this word, perfect, prime example. I'm talking to my sister yesterday, and they convinced me, my mother's having a birthday party, they surprising her. First she's like, well, I need you to go sing, and we're gonna get the keyboard there. And I was like, Nah. It's at a hotel. But still, I'm like, I'm not doing that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sing. I will come in because we can acknowledge, you know what I'm saying, this, that, and the third. I'll come in and this. She's like, well, you know what I'm saying? I need you to be there and I need you to be dressed up. So we going back and forth about that. And I was like, I don't know, I gotta go to the assembly. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go to the assembly. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull up. And she said, well, look, I don't care nothing about that. So I'm like, now my sister a Christian now. So I don't care nothing about that. I was like, well, look, don't the Bible say if you're not willing to give up your wife, mother, or whatever, you're not really Lord. I don't care nothing about that.
That's red letter.
And so, yeah, but that's been my experience with most Christians is like, are you really in this Bible? It just seems like the word Christian is just a front to really, you want to impose like what you really believe and what you want. You know, so when they say this is a Christian nation, I believe it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a simple nation. Y'all believe that, hey, everything is paid for by grace. They not keeping the Torah. So it's a setup to get people to look and say, oh, it's a deception to get them to be looked at as angel-like in a sense. So I agree when he says this was founded on that, and it still is. But the Christian thing was just a front for them to impose what they really want.
So you're absolutely right. He was saying that the same thing you just said, that it's not a Christian nation because they believe in the right-wing Christians are saying, you know, they think they believe in, you know, the true God, right? So what you're saying is absolutely 100% right. That is actually the enchantment that was given to them. They have been enchanted. And his documentary, that I wanted to bring out some of the stuff in that's what he's telling you. He's telling you that George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine, all of these founders, they would put out Christian on the forefront, but in the hidden house of elite men, and then they start bringing it out in their writings so much to some of them, they will always carry a man beside them that to make sure. Thomas Paine always carried someone with him because the right-wing, quote-unquote, Christians would say, you need to recant for speaking against Christianity, and he wanted to verify and make sure he did not recant until his deathbed, that they believe, even Thomas Jefferson, I got a timestamp here, but he believed that Christianity, like the book of Revelation, is hogwash. It's like someone had a dream. It's just a dream. And so it's going to show you their true beliefs when the people who so-called founded the nation and founded the country. And since we already speaking about it, I told Marat earlier, if you look up the history, America so-called gained its independence in 1776. 1776 is the same year that within the Freemasons, Adam Weishaupt created the Illuminati. That's crazy. So both years, those things happened the same, and it's the same religion that was in London, the same religion from Rome, and the same religion that's over here. So that's crazy. Go ahead, brother. Verge had his hand up.
I was going to actually send this to you in the ride. It was actually a video I just watched. I don't know if you ever watched this guy online, but it's true. I netted it. And he actually dropped this one word, syncretism, I think if I'm saying it correctly. And this when they took all these different religions. It was like they tried to take Christianity, but really they were just merging all these different religions. And when he really clearly broke it down for me, because, you know, even when I first you came to the truth, you start telling your sister, well, my sister and people, why ain't doing this? I'm like, because it's pagan. But I'm like, really didn't even fully understand even what pagan meant. But he was just saying that how, like, we as the people, Israel got the covenant, we got the law. You know what I mean? So basically everybody else without the law is pagan. You know what I mean? And so we live in a country now, they acting surprised, but this is just wrong reinventing stuff. This is still all the mixture of all that stuff. False God worship, you know what I mean? So anyway, his video was real because he took about 30 minutes and kind of brought all that history all the way up to modern day. And all that stuff is just intermixed in there with strange gods and false gods and everything else. And that's why we're the ones, man, that, you know, we the only ones that have the truth, you know, from the Most High. You know what I mean?
1000% agree. I watch his channel as well. And and that's why I kind of went with the focus of going to the root of, you know, this nation, because I'm looking for characteristics, but everything that you said was absolutely on point. Marat, go ahead.
To let me back on what Zamaria is bringing out, and I know people think we just people on the fringe on the outside think we're, you know, overkill, or we're going too deep and we don't need all that. But this is that video you just showed is a perfect example why we have to study the language and the roots. Because now if I tell you, oh, come to church with me, well, y'all believe in God, don't you? Yeah, we believe in God.
What did you just say?
God is generic. It's like, oh, well, who's your God? Like the Muslims, all our family who think they're Arabs, you're saying all praise be to Allah. Okay, yeah, all praise be to Allah. That means power. Who's your power? That's why you have to learn the language, understand what you're saying. Because like Zamaria was saying y'all Christian. Yeah, I believe y'all are Christian. You have a Christ. You have someone that you think is Messiah. It's just not Yahushua.
Right.
Now these Christians, our loved ones, think they are lifting up a Christ, and you're lifting up a pagan Christ.
Antichrist.
Antichrist.
1000%.
That's why we go through the levels we go through.
1000%. 1000%. Okay, Chef. Yeah. Anthony, can you finish reading this Isaiah 47 for us? We gonna be at verse 11, 12, and then you can read it straight through if you would like. Okay.
SELAH.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Gerald. My bad.
Yeah, I wanted to just let me back right quick, because you kind of alluded to it and I was kind of waiting to plug it in. But yeah, like you were saying, so even within so it's a difference between a Mason and a Freemason. You know, a lot of Prince Hall Masons, you know, typically the black side of things, like if you call them a Freemason, you know, they kind of get offended because they understand that this political regime, this secret society, Illuminati side of it, you know, that had everything to do with what you're talking about with Thomas Jefferson and all of that. They understand that that's not the same as what they're doing, even though they still kind of like influenced by the enchantments and they kind of under that. But even with the whole core of the meaning of Babylon, the confusion and all that stuff like that. So what you bringing out and focusing on is you're really honing in on the Freemason side of it. Because with Thomas Jefferson and all of these bloodline royal elites, the Rothschilds and all that, we got to remember America had presidents before they came over and hijacked it. And their history that they're teaching us in school is the history that's tied up into the Freemasons, the Knights Templar, you know, all of those, the royal, the blue blood side of it, the Illuminati side of it. That's the history that they are giving us. They ain't giving you the other side, because Masonry goes all the way back to like Nimrod. You know, they'll tell you that that's the start of where it come through Solomon's temple and all of that. But this Illuminati stuff is kind of like a hijack, you know, type of thing, you know, that came about later, you know, that they've been trying to orchestrate their stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to plug that in to kind of what you were saying to let me back. There is a difference between that.
Because they wouldn't let the blacks join their club, so they created their own, you know. But yeah, so the Freemasons are the ones who, even before the country gained its independence, the people who were trying to get the country to gain its independence were already Freemasons. And within Freemasonry, according to the documentary that he did that I watched, they created a secret society within the Freemasons, and that's where the Illuminati came from.
You send that link to the group?
Yeah, I'll send out that video to the group, and you guys can check it out yourself. So as we continue to push forward, Isaiah chapter 47, dealing with the daughter of Babylon, starting at verse 11, we got Anthony reading it for us.
You want me to go to the end?
No, just to verse 15.
All right, Isaiah chapter 47, verse 11. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, that thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail.
Stop. So right there, it just flowing through my mind right there. Stand now with your secret societies and League of Nations and conglomerates, and with the multitude of your sorceries, your pharmakia, your doctors, your scientists, the medicines, wherein you have labored or built from the beginning of the country, which is what I'm just trying to point out.
This is good.
This thing is crazy.
Good.
So from the beginning of the nation, this is what they've been doing. And if you so be able to profit, he's like, show me then. Bring all of the secrets that you have done, and he gonna show you that it's not gonna profit you anything.
He sounds like Elijah before the big chop.
Right. Sounds just like Elijah. Go ahead, verse 13.
Verse 13, thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter, none shall save thee.
So I guess what here is saying that this is a reference to when it says everyone shall return to his own land in Jeremiah. That's what that references to, because we know, which we're gonna touch on it, that this is a melting pot of nations. So I don't even want to go deep into it because it's coming up. So Jeremiah 50 and 33, if you want to switch over to that, it's going to be a little bit of bouncing around. I got my op on the mic now, so let him soothe y'all with that.
I know, right?
Jeremiah.
Twice.
Let's say the Most High. Shema, whenever you're ready, you can read it for me.
With Jeremiah.
All right. Jeremiah 15, verse 33. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Yasharel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
I might have wrote the wrong one. Did I mean 51? Be like Marah said, I'm tired.
Yeah. It's real in the field. Working 10 hours.
Let me see if that was the right one.
We're going to run together.
Yeah, my bad. It was 51. 51. 51. It's real. It's real out here. It's 51.
All right, so Jeremiah 51, verse 33. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Yasharel, the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. It is time to thresh her, yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come.
The daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor. Marah, can you expound?
This is a farming talk, agricultural term. It's pretty much like our ancestors who worked the fields. The barns is when you bring the crop in, and that's where it's processed. It's beat down, it's broken down, and you're getting okay, for example, just an example. Say our product is corn. Well, we'll bring the corn into the threshing floor and take the husk and all that stuff off. So it's pretty much where that crop is processed at.
So if he's saying the daughter of Babylon is like a threshing floor, what is he saying, Marah?
That pretty much when I'm done with Babylon, that's what you're gonna look like.
Wow.
If you ever shuck peas or anything like that, remember grandma had to shuck the peas? That's what they're gonna look like when you're done, when I'm done with you.
The water rabah for that. The water rabah. So I didn't go too deep into this. But I just wanted to bring this out to show that this is some of the main areas that Rome had its hand in. And I don't even know if I put it in the right place here that I wanted to, but I just wanted to bring this out because Britannia up here is where America came from as far as fighting for its independence. And there's a quote from Thomas Jefferson where in that documentary where he talks about the fight that they had with Great Britain. So that is all Rome. Rome is taken over by a son of
Esau.
And that's where that Obadiah can start to come in that Verge brought out earlier.
Gerald has something.
Yeah. His grandson thing.
Go ahead, Gerald.
No, I'm gonna wait till you finish your thought. I was gonna speak to something that Marah said, but I can wait till you finish your thought.
No, that's it. Go ahead. It's good.
Yeah, so to land me back on what Marah was saying, just for clarification before I make my thought, Marah. So basically, based on that scripture, the threshing floor, he's saying that the daughter of Babylon will be that threshing floor. And you describe like if the harvest is corn or something and it's time to like shuck it and all of that stuff, you're pretty much saying that the result of preparing the harvest to be gathered is what the daughter of Babylon will look like, right? If I said that correctly.
If I may, think of grapes. Think of grapes, Gerald. Shalom, y'all. Think of grapes. You remember back during old times when women used to step on them and they'll crush them to make the juice, the wine.
Mm-hmm.
Think of that. When Babylon is over, when the Most High is finished with them, Yahushua is the one that's stepping on the grapes. It's going to be utterly stepped down and crushed. That's why his bridle's his garments are going to be stained with the blood of grapes.
So this is parallel Shamaria to wine press judgment. Okay, and the gathering of the harvest before the actual carrying out of the wine press. The reason why I said that because that verse at the end of that verse, like say he just broke down the daughter of Babylon being the threshing floor. Right after that, it said because soon the time for the harvest is to come, something like that. So we see the agitation, the threshing floor agitation of the daughter of Babylon now, but it's proceeding the ultimate gathering of the harvest. And we know Israel is in the daughter of Babylon. They have to be gathered and harvested. So when you parallel that with the Revelation 14, which are you going there? Are you going there eventually, you said, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's specific to that because I didn't want to focus on when things happen because, that can just take us all off course. But yeah, that talks about the harvest in Revelation 14. It talks about remembering. It talks about, Babylon as well. And then, of course, Jeremiah talks about that as well, the harvest and the sickle.
Yeah, because this definitely perfectly like parallels to what, like I said, we've talked about a lot of times in the past, and I'm glad you're bringing this out the way it is, the way you are, because it is connecting and solidifying and confirming a lot of stuff. So I wait to like connect it further with my thoughts to see where you go with it. But I just wanted to clarify that to make sure that it was I was in line.
Oh yeah, I do think that's in line. And the slides I had before this, right after where we was talking about leaving but I didn't want to go into the flee thing. We already talked about it, but that flee, like Marah said, or to be delivered, that's possibly talking about the gathering there for the righteous people. So I didn't want to really go deep into that because we already talked about it. So looking into some of the characteristics, this, I said I was gonna tell y'all when I got here. Okay,
Can you go back to the map just for confirmation what you said? So for the to let me back what Shamarya's bringing out, Britannia is Rome. Rome conquered them, and then Rome developed the United States, or Britain developed the United States. And as a witness that this country, the United States, is still Rome, the Willie Lynch letter, I may add it to the Black History program. But Willie Lynch, you guys, please go download that letter. There's a PDF online. Go download it before they scrub all this stuff offline. Right. But Willie Lynch said, he says, our fathers of Rome would envy us if only they could see how well we have advanced and developed here. So Willie Lynch was a slave owner from the so-called West Indies, and he's writing to the slave owners of the Southern United States, telling them our fathers of ancient Rome would envy us, just as a confirmation that all the ancient people know this is Rome. This is Rome.
And I think I'm bringing out some.
I just want to add a little meat to what you're saying.
Okay.
So y'all, we speak English-ish of England. We operate under LIBOR, which is London Interbank Offered Rate. That's what your interest rates are based on.
One of the financial capital is in London, I think.
That's right. So all throughout this society, we on the Greek Roman calendar. Right. They call it Greco-Roman.
Right.
So they put in your face and say, we're a Christian nation. Well, they are. The Catholics call themselves Christians.
Right.
They just have different ideas. We don't like how they did things, so we protest. We're gonna let y'all have this side, we're gonna have this side. We got two sides of the same coin.
Right. And then too, the real religion that they believe is in the hidden house of the elites. So that's the key that we gotta remember. You can say you're a Catholic, but you really just worshiping Satan, really. You really just get down to it.
Serpent people.
So okay, so I did have that there. But the reason why I wanted to show that map and bring out how Rome owned all of those things is because Jeremiah 50 and 12, the first part of it, I need Anthony, but the first part of it, go ahead and read it when y'all get it. When they get it, Shema, when you have it. Shema. So just read to the first the first colon there, till it says ashamed.
Okay. All right. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 12. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed.
Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. My thought process on this, still hashing it out though, but my thought process on this, if Jeremiah 50 is talking about the daughter of Babylon, and it tells them that their mother shall be sore confounded, the nation was birthed from Great Britain. It was birthed from Rome. And it's still Rome. And it's still Great Britain, but it's also a new nation. It's also now America. Does that make sense?
Wait, come on now.
And then if we're saying later on in Revelation, because I didn't put this in there, but y'all know Revelation, it says that the 10 kings turn on the whore, right? So if my thought process was, if the United States ends up getting judged first, that would make this scripture, your mother shall be sore confounded, ashamed, because they're the one that's still in league with them. They will be looking and being like, And so that's how that part came into my mind. Go ahead.
That makes sense as far as why all of these nations are trying to discontinue relationships with America, to make it seem like on a level as far as our understanding and the judgment that's coming is y'all remember when y'all were kids and y'all were doing something y'all weren't supposed to do, and then right when mom or dad started showing up, you try to stop doing it so you ain't get spanked. You're like, oh, I told him not to do it, so you ain't real guilty. That's kind of, it seems like from where you putting that, That's what it seems like these nations are trying to do now that they know, because these elites know what's coming. Now that they know this judgment is coming, now they're trying to take their hand off of it and act like they were clean throughout this whole thing.
Con. So that's what I was thinking as far as your mother shall be sore confounded. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say real quick too. I mean, you know that this book is real because, and I'm going off the script, but when you look at these movies that they've been putting out over like the last decade, they know what's coming. Like, you know what I mean? And where are they getting that from? Why they always showing this place desolate? You know what I mean? With the statue toppled over. They know what's coming, man. This is the only book that's telling you what is to come. You know what I mean? And so I feel like it's just crazy that you breaking this thing down. They know that. And I know, I don't know if y'all watched Game of Thrones, but they put a lot of that stuff right in your face. You know what I mean? These people that his house he from about, they were the ones that financed everything. They had to go try to get the money from. And then the whole thing of that whole game.
Where do we get our money? Where do we get our money from? A hidden house. Because it ain't a public federal owned. So man, this is nothing but, look, I'm thinking I don't even got it together. So this is the Most High.
The Verge, you said that they put it in the movies, right? So they know what's coming. Who runs Hollywood?
Because our you get this one. Right, sit right there. No. You get no chair. So the Spirit of the Most High been working. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gerald.
You about to break down the second part of that verse? That's why you got hinder most of the nations? Okay, all right.
I was repeating Gerald's second. Oh, okay. Well, the Spirit been working in here since the very beginning today, all the way from Verge, Zamaria, Marah, and some of the people who spoke. And this word right here, I didn't do a Sharash Ibar for it. We still trying to fully hash it out. But Nariah, I ended up, showing it to him. I showed it to Marah and I showed it to Nariah. And like a couple of minutes ago, he ended up texting me what he thought it meant. So I'm gonna let him bring it out, what he thought it meant, and then we'll just go with the definition that we see here as well. But he actually just walked in, so it's nothing but the Spirit of the Most High. So it says the second part of that sentence. Go ahead and read for me, Anthony.
Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert.
So real quick, Auntie Joy, what do you think the word hindermost means? Don't look it up.
No.
I'm gonna ask other people too, so don't feel bad.
I mean, it's like behind, right? Like the.
You're in the ballpark. What you think, Anthony?
It just kind of maybe like the furthest out, like kind of like out the way a little bit.
I like that. That's good. That's sufficient. Anybody else?
My book.
Is Miss Gina cheating?
Well, I'm just saying.
I ain't get there yet.
No,
I'm getting it ready.
I'm just gonna tell you what my book is saying. It has the little T at the top of it saying deeply ashamed, least.
Okay. Brother, Mariana.
Well, scripture says, first should be last, last should be first.
Just stop right there. Just all over that, brother, man. What do you think it means, hindermost? That? The black.
Oh, you know what? That's least.
Nothing.
The one that has like the most harm put upon them, I guess. Like to hinder somebody.
I see where you think. I see what you think. Okay. I ain't talking to you all day. What's up? What you think it means? No, I'm talking to you. And she been over there crying. I know what she was saying. She was like, I don't know what Shemariah's over there talking about today.
What? Hinder most of the nations. Bank.
Hmm?
Bank.
What?
The back, the end part, the like, what's his name? Brother Mark. Anthony was saying the furthest out.
Okay. Go ahead, Shemariah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy,
Go
but
ahead.
how my mind is processing it, like,
Strong and wrong. Come on.
yeah, strong and wrong, exactly. So behold, the hindermost of the nation. I mean, the one who hindered the nation the most.
You using logic and reason. You using logic and reason.
He's right in a roundabout way.
Right. You're right. So if I show them what it means, that ain't gonna affect what you got, right?
I have two different thoughts in my mind.
Oh, well, you go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. You take it over. Nariah got it from here.
If you put the word,
I ain't got it written out.
okay. Do you want me to say
You talking about like the letters?
Yeah, you want me to say it?
So that's what I say. So if I show the definition, it ain't gonna matter, right? Okay. So the definition is the after part. Some of y'all said something similar to that. The end. I like B. The latter time kingdom. The end time kingdom. Because a lot of people say when you read Jeremiah 50 or 51, people there's a group of people. I think it's a term because it's a term for everything. So I'll let Marah bring that out. It's a term for it, but they think everything already happened. Is it preterist?
Preterist.
And then, so they would say this is the ancient Babylon, and I be trying to find like 100%. To me, this is 100%. Because when he says, your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the end times nation, the latter time nation shall be a wilderness. So he's not talking about
The current.
Babylon.
Right.
So I was trying to figure out what this word meant, or put it in a Hebrew pictograph meaning, but the way that's the Most High didn't give it to me. I just put it that way. He didn't give it to me. So maybe he gave it to Nariah, and I just want him to bring out his thought process on it.
So one of the defiled languages that we are aware of that's closest to our language is Japanese that I've noticed. They have 3 different types of script. It's katakana, hiragana, and kanji. So kanji will be one character, but it'll be like a sentence. So with the breakdown that I got, and I'm just gonna read it. I'm gonna read the words that I sent to Shamar, but it was a lot of things going on in my head based off what was being brought out. So it says, the word hindermost in Hebrew is aha ya ra yat. Aha ra yat.
A haryat.
A haryat. So it's the ox head. It's the ha, the spirit of a man, the man praising. The ra, the head of a chief. The ya, the arm of a man. And then the ta, the covenant, the end, the seal. So this is what I texted. The first or original revelation of the original elites, Babylon / Nimrod, work being sealed or ended for the last time.
Judged.
Complete, because before Shamar said, and the text says, this is going to be a complete judgment. But why would the Most High call this place Babylon, referring to an ancient civilization or kingdom? The Roman Empire didn't do anything but leech off the Grecians. We went over that during dedication. All of these other kingdoms, in some way, form, or fashion, leached off of the original pagan kingdom, Babylon, Nimrod. So Babylon leached off and adulterated the Most High's ways. So in some way, form, or fashion, it goes all the way back to the ancient Babylon. And we talked about this a few years back regarding to how they're trying to build the Tower of Babylon now. It just looks different. So it's mighty funny what Marianne said, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Notice how the I is in the beginning of this word and the tie is at the end. You look at the Ra, these elites that Shemaria has been talking about, this strong army of elites. The Ah, Ha, and the Ra, the strong army of elites, but their work is being broken or ended.
I like Judge. This is a perfect example. And you're right, their work being ended.
Go ahead.
But that hand, that arm, who's that arm? And you said the arm sealing, like, because the Ta being the mark or a covenant is something that seals. So I'm like, oh yeah, he on point right there. And I feel like that arm represents that judgment.
Yeah.
Like Yahushua is doing the work, or the Most High's hand is upon them.
He will end. Jah can be a prefix for he. He as in the Most High. He will end.
Right. And I don't want to go too fast and be over people's heads.
It would be easier. I mean, if we had the glimpse that they'd get it, but
yeah, I didn't know that. I was just going to use just this right here. So I didn't even know he was going to have a breakdown to it. But I think that that's somewhere in the ballpark. So he said that it's the first or original, referring back, even though I would say like a copy of.
Right.
A copy of the original. And he says it's revealing or a revelation of the original elites. So these people are, because it's the same religion.
Right.
And then he talks about their work that they've done being sealed or ended in the last or latter times. And that's where hindermost or end times will come from.
Now, this might be off, but I'm going to ask it for my own understanding. What precept is that where it says where that man of sin is revealed?
that's the Messiah.
That's long.
That's long.
That's on provision. That's long.
Does that have anything to do with this somehow?
Me and Marah said that. We was talking in the car. Could that be something to deal with that? The root word ahar, if Marah want to speak what he saw, I'm not sure.
So I just had a chance to look it up, and this is a great example. When you use these lexicons, try to go to the root, because the root of this H319 is H310, and it's actually a car. A car.
That makes it so
And
much
we had the
better.
glyphs for a car. It would be the ox head, the tent wall, and the head of a man. So the breakdown is still sort of on point, because the ox head is strength.
Mhm.
The tent wall in this instance, I'm dividing, I'm tearing y'all apart. So it's going to be a strong dividing of the first, the Ra. And that's what the United States is. Y'all are a strong division of Rome. So a car yacht. This is the most recent nation. This is the most recent remnant of Rome. So his breakdown is still on point. It's just a car yacht. A car is the root, the ox head, the tent wall, and the head of a man.
That's why I couldn't get it. That's exactly why I couldn't get it. The same
So always
thing.
try to go to the root when you find these words.
Yeah, I went to the root and I used the ha instead of the ka, because that's how they write it on blue letters sometimes, and I gotta go check. So that's what happened. So that as one characteristic of the daughter of Babylon or Babylon, it says it's the hindermost of the nations. And Verge, you said it earlier that America was the youngest. You said it was only 300 or 400 some years old, and it's been in war most of its life. So that's one characteristic. The next one is the hammer of the whole earth. Anthony, is Jeremiah 50 and 23.
All right, Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 23. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, and with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen.
51, I think I meant 51 again, didn't I?
No, it's 50.
Oh.
50
this was
50 and 23. 50 and 23.
I'm in 51 then.
My bad.
So 50.
50 and 23.
It happens.
All right. Jeremiah 50, verse 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations?
How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? Verge, what you think the hammer of the whole earth means?
I would say that they use this nation as a military power.
Come on now, bring it out.
Because a lot of people don't realize that, like you said earlier about the federal bank, we don't own it. We're just a military arm for the elite. So we went around just raping and pillaging the world without might. It's sort of like the hammer, you know.
That's my twin right there. Thank you, thank you, Auntie, for the assist. See, that's what helped me all it out. Weight room ain't gonna be no catching up to that. That's the most high. But what he said was, let's see what they say here.
Man learned the formula for victory was compounded of striking power, mobility, and self-protection.
The US is easily the most powerful country to have ever existed, and it certainly spends more on its military budget than any other country does today.
Wow.
That's all pretty well known. But less well known is the fact that the US has around 800 military bases around the globe. This map can't even show that many dots. These are just 200 or so dots to give you an idea of where these bases are clustered. These bases are everything from massive military compounds to small airstrips in the middle of the ocean. If you combined all the foreign bases that every other nation has outside of its own borders, you get a total of about 30. There's never been a country with such a massive global presence. And the big question is, how did these bases get there in the first place? And how much is it costing US taxpayers to keep them open? Most of these bases cropped up after World War II, when the US set up in places like Germany and Japan to help maintain peace after an era of intense global war.
But we cannot expect these people to discard Nazi ideas with the casual air with which they abandon their uniforms. Slowly, steadily, they must be taught the fundamentals of democracy. Our task is to supervise this training in democracy.
Even though these countries are now stable, robust democracies and allies, the US still has 50,000 troops in Japan and 54,000 in Germany. The Korean War brought an influx of American infrastructure into the Korean Peninsula, where we now have 28,500 troops stationed. The Cold War made the US expansion to every corner of the globe imperative to US strategic goals.
Here in Russia, you see the reason why we are spending billions of dollars in defense production. Why your family is paying the highest taxes in our history.
But even now that the Cold War is over, there's not a place on Earth that's not still covered by US military. This includes everything from naval compounds like those in Guantanamo Bay, to small drone bases like those in the Horn of Africa, to little-known posts in the middle of the Indian Ocean like that of Diego Garcia. And it's not cheap. Keeping US foreign bases open costs taxpayers between $70 and $100 billion per year. That's more than any other government agency receives in taxpayer money, besides, of course, the Department of Defense itself. Taxpayers pay between 10 and...
We don't care how much they paying, because We know it's a lot. We paying it. So what our verse said was 1000% correct. The hammer of the whole earth, military might, military power. That slide said that we have over 800 military bases around the world, or the United States. We just live here. Has over 800 military bases around the world. And y'all saw what they just did when they left Afghanistan in the last couple of years, where they left all the weapons. Y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
They saying Putin trying to go buy those weapons now.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
I know the guy said that that map was not an accurate depiction of how many bases they have throughout the earth. But when you notice, if y'all ever find this video and look at it again, notice that America had bases in every other country except Europe. That's one thing I noticed looking at it. I know it wasn't an accurate depiction, but that was just something I was paying attention to.
They probably got some there, but I don't know. I didn't
They
check
don't
for
need
sure.
to, they're on the same side.
Right. Right. Yeah. But I don't know if they do or don't. I can't confirm
They
it.
have embassies.
Yeah. And he was saying some of the bases, it could be just as simple as like a little small little place like this. That's what he was saying when he was saying that too.
So
That it
every,
wasn't.
I'm sorry. At every US embassy, they always have Marines. They don't necessarily have a force per se, but they're there.
Yeah, they got
Whatever they
representation.
have- Yeah, whatever they have at embassy, they have it already.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So, how many people? I guess it's kind of. I didn't have a clever way of even asking it, but has anybody known, probably besides Nariah, because I told them that there's a place in New York called Babylon.
I didn't know that.
But
Oh, yeah. Long Island.
you're from there,
I used to live there.
so he's gonna bring that out.
An impressively complex orchestration. But more specific, here's how to find our Babylon. Any mention of the day of the Lord, the latter days, the day of thy watchman, the end of days, the last days before the vengeance of our Lord Jesus. That Babylon is America, the daughter of Babel. Question: how does America geographically qualify for the role of Babylon?
Ignore the part he's gonna talk about.
According to scripture,
Globe.
Babylon's destroying enemy is from a far country, from the north and the end of heaven. Get out a globe, trace from the United States, straight up north and across the pole to the other end of the globe. Your finger is now in Russia. Also, the end of days Babylon must sit upon many waters and have deep water ports around her coastlines for the merchant sailors to stand afar off and bewail her. In addition, go to Yahoo Maps on the internet, type in Babylon, New York. Surprise, there's even a literal Babylon, New York.
Y'all see
on the
that?
coastline. Question: isn't Russia our friend now? What about their reforms? No. We've been disarming and sending aid money over to the Russian republics. They've been using it to build and modify their arsenal. How's that for irony? There's a reason that the Russians are the world champion chess players. Test the game of patience and strategy. America has become incompetent in her complacency, lacking both patience and the comprehension of strategy. Lady Liberty will be blown out of the water and she won't even know what hit her. In addition, research the men that are in charge of these new democratic Russian republics. Most were hardcore Soviets that were trained at the School of London. That's like putting some retired grand wizards of the Ku Klux Klan in charge of the United Negro College Fund. Okay. I'll let an American official back me up on this one. Here's former Secretary of Defense, Frank C. Carlucci.
The United States and our allies are to maintain the defense required to safeguard our peace and freedom. We must have a clear understanding of the threat posed by the military capabilities and doctrine of the Soviet Union. As reported in Soviet Military Power 1988, neither glasnost nor the stirrings of economic reform within the Soviet Union has resulted in any redirection of resources away from the armed forces of the USSR. Soviet strategic nuclear forces, land, sea, and air, continue to be upgraded. Soviet strategic defenses, including the ballistic missile defense system around Moscow, continue to be upgraded. The across-the-board modernization of Soviet conventional forces, tanks, artillery, fighter aircraft, surface warships, and submarines marks an unprecedented increase in Soviet military capabilities.
This one's for the Bible scholars. Question: what about Iraq rebuilding around the ruins of the old Babylon from Nebuchadnezzar's time period? Couldn't Iraq be the nation and Baghdad be the city in Revelation 18 that is destroyed? Only if you ignore 80% of the parameters defined in the Bible that identifies the Lady of the Kingdoms. Is Baghdad the economic centrifuge for the globe, or is it New York, Wall Street? Does Iraq have a deep water port for merchant sailors to bewail it from?
No.
Or multiple deep water ports along its coastlines? Does Iraq have the largest idol in the world crafted by mystical Masonic secret society members in its harbor? Did Iraq initiate the United Nations world governance? Is Iraq the world's policeman? Is Iraq known for its cattle and goods and fine merchandise and delicacies and pharmaceuticals, aka sorcery? Is Iraq at rest and dwelling carelessly? Does Iraq have people gathered from all the nations in it? Was there a World Trade Center reduced to ash in Baghdad, or was that New York? There are other scholars that think end times Babylon is Israel or the Vatican, Rome, or the EU or Russia. Ask yourself the same questions of all of those nations. Question: could the up and coming?
So he was bringing out originally in the beginning that there's an actual literal Babylon city in New York. And then he transitions to talking about the enemy that will come from the waters, from the hindermost parts or the outermost parts of the earth to bring judgment. He was saying here, this video was done in 2002. They were talking about Russia then. Now we have the foresight to see some of this stuff come to pass, even up to what we was bringing out earlier, how they starting to surround the coast. So, and then lastly, he was just showing you how some people say it's Rome, it's Jerusalem, or ancient Iraq, and he's showing you or saying, think about all the characteristics is why we're breaking down these characteristics. That's majority of these characteristics relate to the United States of America. So it goes from the land of the north, it goes from that to the daughter of Babylon, and then it transitions. When we get to the end of the book, we get to Revelation, it calls something like Mystery Babylon or the mother of harlots, right? Let's jump real quick to a couple of, like real short. He's gonna just talk about some of the characteristics, and I got a precept when he talks about the Air Force, I think.
We read on in Revelation, we understand that there is a mercantile or commercial Babylon. There's sort of a military political Babylon. And then there is a spiritual Babylon.
Real quick too, that man is Doug Woodard. Doug Woodard, he pretty much based his most recent studies on determining the end times Babylon. And he's written like 8 different books about it. I was gonna put a little slide in there for him. But Doug Woodard, just so y'all know who that is, you can look him up if you want to know more about like the subject. The show is Prophecy Watchers, which they have on YouTube. They probably got a little show about it, but he speaks for a few, I got like a minute of what he's saying here about Babylon real quick. And then I think there's like one more.
Which is usually associated with Babylon or the Mystery Babylon. And so you have all of those factors in play in talking about that. But if we get specific about what might it be that causes us to think that the United States is the final Babylon or one of the final Babylons in the last days, certainly we just have to look at things geopolitically. In terms of the United States is the #1 nation still, although China's nipping at our heels. In terms of gross national product,
that was
GDP,
in 2019.
we both have about a $25 trillion national GDP figure. So certainly commercial Babylon, which by the way is talked about in Ezekiel 28.
and the Prince of Tyre and the merchants of Tarshish. All of this ties in, I believe, to the Canaanites, which became the Phoenicians, which became Tarshish, which I believe is a forerunner to the Anglo-Saxon world and even the United States. So that's another study of its own.
And by the way, that involves money and.
So he was just showing you there, one of the characteristics is the economic world power. So that was just a witness to that. The part he said at the end, I think I might want to come back later in another different class and touch on that about the Canaanites. But I've been seeing some stuff about what he was saying about that too. So here is where I want to bring out the precept, but I'm gonna let him bring out what he's gonna say real quick, and then we'll read Jeremiah 51 and 53.
Part of the picture.
It is a huge part of the picture because the United States dominates not only militarily, we have 20 aircraft carriers.
Right.
China has one, Russia has one that's so bad.
So aircraft carriers, we have 20. The United States, or them, I don't know, just we live here, but the United States has 20 aircraft carriers. They are the most powerful air force in the world. In the air, they got it. You know, some of the other forms of might or fight, not necessarily, but Air Force, they have it.
It has to have a tugboat pull it around. so you know, we're pretty dominant in terms of our Navy and so forth, and our Air Force. So we're very dominant there. We're very dominant commercially. Certainly, all of the kings of the world, if anything happened to, let's say, New York City, where so much of our commerce is based, they would weep because it makes them rich. And so that is a major factor. Spiritually, we may talk about this in another program that we may do in the future. There's the issue of what is the core spiritual view of the United States. Well, it tends to be very occultic, very Luciferian. That is sort of our natural native religion. Christianity is, well, we like to think of ourselves as a Christian nation.
Absolutely.
There's certain politicians that don't agree with that.
But a lot of the power structures in the United States of America, sadly, are occultic. And that would include the major research centers that would be aeronautics, rocketry, the high-tech aspects of Silicon Valley. There's a lot of occultism happening in those places.
There's a very sinister connection between technology and spiritualism, which itself is a study that's far too deep for us to go into today,
right.
But it's something to be aware of. So anyway, if you look at all of these major factors of what characterizes Mystery Babylon, the United States certainly seems to fit the bill, and no other nation right now does. So
let's bring out Jeremiah 51 and 53. Anthony, if you don't mind reading that for us.
All right, Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 53. Though Babylon were to mount up to heaven, and though she were to fortify the height of her strength, yet from me plunderers would come to her, says Yahweh.
Though Babylon should mount up to the skies, Shemayam, and though she should fortify the height of her strength, the most aircraft carriers and the strongest air force. Even though you have that, the Most High is saying, from me, I'm still sending the spoilers and they're going to get the job done. That makes sense? Yeah. So picking up the speed. Now,
you don't have to rush it. You don't have to finish.
Yeah, we still good. I think we good. I think we might be able to get 4 or 5. Nah. Trust me. But somebody get Revelation 17 and 4. I think that's what it is. Because the end parts anyway is like just like fun stuff. And the woman was great and perfect. 5. I'm 17 and 5. Revelation 17 and 5. I'm gonna ask a couple people to read this because I want to do a study. So we can start with you, and you can read it.
Revelation 17, verse 5.
Uh-huh.
And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth.
Joyce, can you read the same thing?
Verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
Ms. Gina, can you read it?
And upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery of Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth.
Yashia, can you read it?
Microphone, Jacob. So.
All right, this is Revelation 17:5 out the ESV. And on her forehead was written a name of mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of prostitutes and the mother of abomination and the earth's abominations.
T.
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abomination of the earth.
One more, Mariana.
17:5, right? And on her forehead was written the name of mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of prostitutes and of earth's abominations.
Okay, some of y'all start reading it right. I would give the winner to T, but the reason why I want to read that because read it, have y'all all read it, because like I was showing Araya, a lot of people just read it and say Mystery Babylon. Is that what the text say? What? So what is it saying? What does it say?
Mystery, Babylon the
Sound like
Great.
me. It says it's a mystery. Stop. It's just a mystery. It's not Mystery Babylon. It's a mystery. Babylon the Great. So it's a mystery, comma. Babylon the Great, comma. The mother of harlots, comma. Because some people will say, and this is from hours of me and Gerald just going back and forth on the phone. This was even probably like years ago now. But when you get quiet time, when you leave that sharpening session and then get quiet time to yourself and read, I said, oh, this is what it's saying. And then we'll call them back and say, oh, this is what it's saying. And I realized like, we just speed over stuff a lot of times. So some people's argument would say that, oh, well, it can't be the daughter of Babylon and the mother, but that's not what it's saying. It's saying that it's mystery, Babylon the Great, but it is the mother of harlotry, not the mother of Babylon. It's the mother of harlotry. But most people will say it's Mystery Babylon, and then they will say it's the mother of harlots, but they'll use that sense that that mother is separate from the daughter that we read about earlier. My case is that it's not separate. It's characteristics of the same entity. Go ahead,
The mother of harlots has me thinking of just America's influence in the earth. Though America is the daughter of the virgin daughter of Babylon, the daughter of Great Britain, she's still in her wickedness, in her enchantments, conceived seed, if you will, of wickedness throughout the earth, because America is like the standard for everything. So whatever America does, good or bad, everybody's going to incorporate it into their culture. So that's what made me think when you said the mother of harlots.
Right. And I think 17:2 is going to expound upon that, and then I'll read what I had about that. Go ahead.
It makes me think about how kingdoms are established. Once a kingdom sent out people that establish or colonize areas, and so if that army or that nation has
a great military force, i.e. America's been set up and established. They built up that force. Britain ain't got to do nothing. They put it back on America. So you don't see the hand of who's behind everything. They're still influencing everybody. They'll come get you drunk, set you up. You got to take it. You got to stay with that thing. Now, if you don't, what happens? You die.
Yeah. 1000%. Just remember what Chef just said. He said they're gonna come and do what? Get you. Can you read this for me? Goodness gracious.
Both verses?
Yes, sir.
Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, "Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication."
They did what, Chef?
Catch you drunk, takes you out.
That was so on time. So the Revelation 17 and 1, we're gonna expound upon that one about the whore that sits on many waters. And then here I wanted to expound upon the part about the fornications, but you know, that would be way too much time. So like Marah said, I'll send y'all the video, but we did a synopsis of it with that video earlier. And I just wanted to say my theory that I had based on the information is that fornication or the wine that, like Chef just said, that they get people drunk with through the occult and secret society, that a lot of people, you know, will say that it's religious worship. So it's Catholicism from Rome or whatever that Revelation 17 is talking about. That's what most people is gonna say. But to me, it's with people, even you'll have Muslims and Roman Catholics, but then they'll be on the same page in how they govern, or they'll be in the same, or like the Roman Catholics will be in the same page with the Protestants, but you're supposed to have protested against them. So what I'm saying is it's the secret societies, the occults, is actually if you want to say religion, it's the occultic religions that's being spread around. And then the thing that gets people drunk is that if I offer you, like what Chef was saying, you get in lead with me, it's a blood in, blood out situation. And then for you, I'm looking at you because the celebrities, they get drunk with the wine of the fornication of the original religion, the occultic secret societies of this nation. If you want to make a certain amount of money in Hollywood, okay, now you have to do this. If you want to make a certain amount on your music, you have to come in and do this. So to me, that cup, that wine is tied to the secret society. And that's the fornication that I'm seeing that's spread around the world, because with all of the political leaders, even Putin is in the same society as George Bush. How is that possible? But then they're enemies, supposedly.
Come on now.
Go ahead.
What do you think them dealing with the fallen ties into this? Because a lot of these, when you say like the secret societies and everything, don't they get a lot of their knowledge from the fallen? And we would say where they try to tell us aliens and everything, they're demons, but they deal on a level that they keep us in the dark. These people are dealing with the fallen and conjuring up all these crazy ideas of how to, you know, pretty much subject us to, you know, their plans or what have you. You're talking about the fornication and everything, that be them messing with the fallen and you know, and dealing with them how to execute this stuff on earth.
A lot of that knowledge is ancient. A lot of that knowledge is ancient. So I would say, I would agree that a lot of that stuff comes from the fallen.
So Gerald has something.
Go ahead, Gerald.
Yeah, you made reference to how me and you had all them long conversations about this. And yeah, I see your angle now. I see what you're talking about, which leads me to think, so we know beasts and revelations represent kingdoms. And we already know America, even though being birthed from Rome, being the daughter of, Rome in that sense. We know that the kingdom that's ruling things behind the scenes is still Rome. America ain't running nothing. Rome's influence is Great Britain, all of that. So that's the beast. So it would make sense that the woman that's making the world drunk, like you said, a lot of religions believe that the woman is some type of religious worship or something like that. But you would be right, I think, to say that it has to be these secret societies that's been infiltrating and stuff like that. It made me think of how that was in play even in the first century. I just posted 3 like pictures in the Torah group chat where everybody's up there. And earlier I thought that word that you was breaking down doing Sharash Abar, I think it was outside of that, but it was similar to Amharic. And the reason why I was thinking of that, it made me think of that because it was talking about how the Talmudists of Judaism, how they look at everybody else in the world as Amharics. If you don't do what they do and follow their way and their customs, they label you as that. And that word means people of the earth or people of the dirt. And I'm like, why would, on surface, you think that, well, they just saying you're worthless. You're like dirt to me, But when, the brother just brought up the question, well, how does this ties into the fall and stuff like that? Serpent, we've been saying, these ish people, these fish people, whatever, they serpent people, something wrong with their DNA. We know they ain't like us. They ain't the same, or whatever the case may be. And it just makes me reflect on how, they would say, well, when Christ said to them, like, they was like, well, that wasn't our forefathers. Our forefathers has never been in bondage, stuff like that. And identifying that they not the same as the rest of us. So, we know Adam was made of the dirt, of the earth, and as far as everybody else that just came about along the line that don't have that same DNA or bloodline, it just made me reflect on all of that. Clearly, they're different. Clearly, these illuminated people, reptilians, whatever they are, they're different. They not us. And that's why you got to be in that bloodline to be affiliated with, if I ain't going too far, if you kind of understand like where my mind at. So I can see why that harlot getting the rest of the world drunk, these secret societies, because every last religion got that in it. They infiltrate all the religions. All of them, they in it. So that, without going too far, if you know where I'm at, maybe you can clean it up and finish it. But I see what you're talking about now, and I do think you're on point with who the woman is.
No, you pretty much had it. I mean, so yeah, you pretty much said what you was trying to say correctly, and then we just know that there's another group of people who they not the same as us. There's humans and mankind. We'll just leave it at that.
Bring that out.
Go ahead.
Bring that out. Just to be a second witness for this, man. This is blessing me, man. I didn't even realize that this is where part 2, as I was saying, just being a second witness to this. And this is being a witness to me that the Most High is dealing with us all here at the Torah Group. I had no idea this was going to be your part 2, man. I guess in this season, man, this just put me in a mode, man. I'm in a war mode right now.
Come on now.
Because the Most High gave me a dream, man. And I'm not going to get into the details. I'll just say that I was with a specific person. This person was with a friend. And this friend was drunk, beyond, like, just gone. And I was like, what's going on with this person? Long story, I won't get into the other details, but when I woke up, the dream had startled me, and it was so vivid. I knew the Most High was saying something. And he spoke to me. He spoke in my spirit and said, the friend was drunk with the wine of Babylon. And yeah, I just shared this dream with some witnesses in here, man. And while I'm saying this is a very serious time. We got to be at war, not only for ourselves, but the ones that are around us as well.
because some of them don't even realize it. And when you bring this stuff to them, it can be so sharp and so cutting, they might not even can see it, man. But this is just a confirmation to me, man, to just stay with the Most High, and that He's revealing, He's speaking to us, He's with us. We got to stay in. Well, I ain't gonna speak for everybody else, but it put me in war mode, man. This is a serious time, and the Most High is speaking. I had no idea this was going to be a message. I didn't even pay any heed to the dream. I was just like, oh, and I'm thinking this is coming from my mind. Oh, she was drunk with the wine of Babylon, and then you get up here and you're talking about it today.
And so, Chef said it. Before I said what I said, he said. So yeah, man, all praises to the Most High. That's how the Most High works. Maybe that's why I missed your phone call. So that way, it would be more edifying than maybe if I would have told you or you told me. See, I didn't have no idea. So that's more edifying than if we did, speak. So that makes sense. And coming down to the end, because I'm excited towards the end part. I just would like permission just to have a few more of y'all minutes if y'all ain't already eat. But just so yeah, it won't be too much longer. But I would say the cutoff time for me would be, I would say 5:30 if it made it that far. But if that's what I'm thinking. So to go through real quick, I said that I was going to talk about that Statue of Liberty again. That's what he's going to do here. Just tell you how it's about how it was pagan or Masons or Freemasons founded it. So we'll let it go through for a couple minutes.
Liberty's designer,
2 minutes.
French sculptor Frédéric Auguste Berthollet, once boasted that his creation would last as long as the pyramids of the Nile. The 20-foot spike along Liberty's crown, representing the world's 7 continents and 7 seas, will also be replaced. And finally, a woman in robes bearing the light of reason has stood for liberty since classical times. And another influence, the Freemasons, footprints of the ancient builders of the pyramids and the cathedrals. Freemasons designed the dollar bill. Freemasons planned the Washington Monument, obelisk, and Masonic symbols were to be present in the Statue of Liberty as well. A torch, the light of humanism.
Here is testimony from a former Freemason.
And if you want to see the fruits of true Illuminism, look at what is known as the French Revolution. The French Revolution exists as kind of an antimatter version, if you will, of the American Revolution. Whereas a lot of the people that were involved in the American Revolution were Christians, the French Revolution, Illuminism was holding sway. Anti-Christian doctrine, the reign of terror, the guillotine, which ate up thousands and thousands of lives, including the crown heads of France. This was what Illuminism was really all about, unfortunately. And sadly enough, it culminated in an event where they desecrated Notre Dame Cathedral. They enthroned a half-naked prostitute on the high altar and crowned her as the goddess of reason and put a torch in her hand. Believe it or not, this is the origin of the Statue of Liberty. Wow. It's not a nice, wonderful thing about freedom. That torch is the light of Lucifer. Wow. And that statue was built by a Mason, was designed by a French Freemason as a gift to American Freemasons. So I'm sorry if I just popped anybody's bubble there, but the Statue of Liberty is not a nice symbol. It's a symbol of the goddess of witchcraft, essentially, holding aloft the light of Lucifer.
The goddess of enchantment.
Psalm 2. Why do
we need him to read our word? He's talking about why do the heathen rage? You ain't man. So let's keep it sliding. We're gonna talk about this whore that sits on many waters. And then we're gonna talk about that cup, Jeremiah 51:7, Anthony. And if I got, look, it could be mixed up. I believe.
Babylon have been a golden cup. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, so Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand.
Stop. Babylon have been a golden cup in whose hand?
Yeah.
So who provided that cup?
Say you gonna break it down.
The Most High has given America that golden cup. Go ahead,
All right. Babylon had been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad.
The nations are insane. They're crazy. 51 and 13.
Verse 13. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness.
So it's a harlot on big waters. Is this a coincidence, y'all? Is this a coincidence? I don't believe it. Is this a coincidence that this statue, for one, which represents a harlot that Mason told us, is surrounded by many waters? Right? And then the nation itself has water on both sides, right? So water actually can mean more than one thing, and that's what we want to, get into. We want to get into the usage of that word water that they use here. You're about to say, oh yeah, it's right here.
No, I'm talking about.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So going back.
Hold on, Josh.
Yo, shalom.
Yeah, that was
so going back to the character Mayam, going back to water, water can also represent people. So within this landmass, there's all of the ethnicities of the face of the earth are here. So with this system that we're in, you know what I'm saying? There's many waters, many people. Babylon has many waters, many people in this place.
He just explained the slide.
I didn't even see the slide.
That's fine. It's good. We ain't got to touch on it. He hit the nail on the head. This is a land, it is surrounded by both major bodies of water, but also it's a land of mixed or mingled peoples. It's got all nations here. So that harlot that's sitting on many waters, it is sitting on many nations of people. And in Revelation 17 and 15, go ahead.
Well, I was looking at that. We know Mayam can also get blood. So just like Yahushua is going to come and tread down the grapes, and blood's going to stain his garments. Well, that's because Babylon, didn't it say the fourth beast is going to pretty much trod down the earth?
Right.
So the Most High ain't doing nothing. That's why it says, do unto her, give it to her to the devil. So what you always say, Chef, keep that same energy.
So proving what the brothers was just saying, they told you what it meant in Revelation anyway. When you just continue to go to 17 and scroll down to 15, it says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are people, multitudes, nations, and tongues. So the definition figuratively used of many peoples fits what the writer here was trying to say. Go ahead.
So the Statue of Liberty is surrounded by water, but the original, quote unquote, original Statue of Liberty was a Black woman
from France, from the French.
I don't know where she's from,
right.
But like, I guess I really don't know my question, but it's just like, why is she there? And like,
yeah, they received it from a gift, but those French people that made it were Freemasons. That's what that video is pointing out.
I think her question.
Go ahead, yes, please help.
I think her question may be, why did they switch out the sister for this one?
Rejected it, didn't they?
That I honestly I couldn't tell you.
He was not
You can't tell.
They rejected it. They said,
They did reject it. It was a woman, it was actually a family, but the woman was, it was kind of set up in a triangle. And so the woman was elevated over the man and she had chains on. And so that was what they were saying. But even the Statue of Liberty, it's all copy. They telling you follow the melanated essentially.
so they had to get rid of that.
They had to get rid of the first one because the first one was a family. But I believe the woman they all had on chains, but I think the woman's chains were broken. The dude was kind of beneath her and holding the child.
Because the original Statue of Liberty is copper and it has continued over time.
I think that might be a brother version.
But your whole class is explaining what happened to that original one. These people, secret societies, they control. So that original one, they had a vote, all in favor of this, say aye. The ayes have it, the nays have it. So your whole class is telling what happened to that original one. These people are Confederate. We can't let these Israelites know that y'all built this country and we came up off y'all backs. So your whole class is telling what happened to that original statue.
That makes sense.
So biblically, what we're just reading, hers is equal as well, right? Or no? Like, is she not a whore as well?
So we did have this is when the history goes deep. On almost every continent that the Israelites were on, that native country, France, London, they recognized the value of a Hebrew. We the ones taught them banking. We the ones told them how to multiply dollars. We was the cobblers. So France, we had allies everywhere we went. So we probably won the hearts of some French Masons and says, let's give this to the United States for ending slavery. And that first sculptor probably had good intentions, but again, the Masons, like you say, the inner circle, inner circle, said, nah, we ain't giving them that. Let's give them this to represent liberty. And what caught my eye, and Gina said it, I'm stealing it from my wife, that torch is an actual cup. And then that flame, how many of y'all have been on vacation in a bar where they set the drink on fire?
That's and see, I didn't even think of it. I just thought, I said, this thing has to mean more than a light. That's why I said this is also a cup. And it just makes what Jeremiah, what he wrote, and what Revelations, John wrote, just come to life even more, because you literally have the statue that's holding the cup in his hand. So it just made sense to me.
Gerald,
go ahead, Gerald.
Yeah, so still just dwelling and meditating on everything you're saying, and that's bringing out, man, like all praises, because like I said, you really bringing out some good stuff. And with my initial thought when you first because it goes to show again, we got to remind ourselves to read again and slow down. When you first brought out the sitting on the waters, and just bringing out how the mother, this person we talking about represents that. My mind went to, in the conversations of Revelations chapter 17, and y'all don't have to go there really. Revelation chapter 17 verse 9, because I was thinking like, well, what about when it said the seven heads represent 7 mountains, and we can research and find out that the 7 mountains is wrong. But then I reminded myself, like what I said earlier, the beast is Rome, but the woman sitting on it is something else. And the Most High puts in the heart of the beast and the 10 kings to hate the woman and get rid of her. So it would make sense, like I made reference to earlier, how when you had Kennedy back in the 60s trying to like, nah, we ain't doing this in America. This ain't supposed to be a part of this. Speaking against them, and these people being the ones that's actually controlling the political system, the shadow people that's controlling it. If you in power and you ain't for them, they're gonna get rid of you. So it would just make sense how the Most High will put it in their heart to say, okay, now it's time to get rid of these so-called elite Illuminati people. And then the rest of the, then the next line of focus would be, okay, now let's get rid of Rome, Rome. Let's get rid of, Israel's enemies that's still confederate against them. But I got to deal with that shadow government first, so to speak. So I see what you're talking about, man. This thing good.
And also, too, though, America is Rome, is what we were saying earlier, too. So what you said was right, but because I don't want to confuse you, but just read 2nd Esdras chapter 12. The eagle, 3-headed eagle, has 3 heads of rulership. It spread its feathers across the whole earth. Right. So America is Rome, but it's also the whore that sits on many waters. And it's also, like you were saying, about the kings turning on it. So all of those things is true.
Understood. Yeah, I'm with you on that and I also understand the eagle thing because Greek was the eagle, Rome is the eagle, extended or whatever. So we know America isn't just an extension with Great Britain of that. We know that's all the same thing. But but when you say that the woman is sitting on the back of the beast, because yes, we know America is Rome. So that's the beast. America is a part of that beast. But the woman sitting on the back of the beast, specifically being these elite Illuminati people, these ain't Americans. These ain't Americans we talking about. The people that's behind the shadow government, whatever the case may be, whatever they are, reptilians, whoever they are, they ain't necessarily Americans. So that's why I said it the way I said it. Like we got to deal with them first. It's like they taking care of them prophetically first when he put it in the hearts of the kings of the earth, the 10 kings and the scarlet colored beast to devour her. And then after you deal with her, then we got to deal with Rome and everything pertaining to her. If you understand what I'm saying.
I agree. Go ahead, Nariah.
I was talking to Murad about this a few minutes ago on the side right here. He never knew this, but the Statue of Liberty is supposedly a hermaphrodite.
Oh, daddy.
So, I just sent a picture to Big Verge, and it's a picture of the name of the painting is called Satan Summoning His Legions.
Wow.
And this is where the Statue of Liberty was inspired from. Satan is literally in the exact same pose with his hand in the air. And I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna just send it to people and y'all can just send it around and look at it. I'm not gonna put it in the Torah Group chat.
That's why that man said it's the light of Lucifer that is holding up. Right. So yeah, I'm familiar with what you're talking about. Going on real quick, this slide right here, I was trying to remember why I put it, but it's basically to show that Revelation is talking about Babylon the Great is fallen, but the same language we can see all the way back to Jeremiah. So it's 3 precepts up here. Revelation 18:2 says, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean bird. But then you go to Jeremiah 14:8, and y'all can, let me double check that just in case I was like sleepy or something. Jeremiah 14:8. I might have didn't change it or something. Yeah, that ain't it. That's why I want to double check that. Somebody precept is here. Find that precept for me.
It's around
and 50. That's why I felt like that one right. That's why I checked. Jeremiah 51:8. Let's check that one. Suddenly Babylon. Yeah, so Jeremiah 51:8 is for sure Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. And I don't know if we can find that other one.
Just check the whole version in Google, it'll come up. So that's Revelation.
Yeah, it might be
just put the
Revelation 17 or something. Oh, no. Yeah, that Isaiah.
I think
That's Revelations 14:8.
Yeah, I think that's Revelation 14. You just put the-
That's the one that
Yeah.
I was saying, me and Gerald was talking about earlier, Revelation 14:8. Revelation 14:8, the second angel followed and said, let me go to it.
Everybody gonna get that chance to make slides.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Gerald earlier. Yeah, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So that's the same Babylon that Jeremiah was talking about, the same Babylon from Revelation 18 as well. So that's supposed to be Revelation 14:8. We talked about the golden cup already, and we talked about how it was in the Most High's hands, so we can skip through that. We already started with we covered the wrath of the fornication already. This one, that should be a lady forever. We kind of covered that as well. We talked about this earlier about, is it one day? So we got some precepts, and if someone gets a revelation from the Most High, then that may be able to help. So we'll cover this part, and we literally seriously 100% right here at the end. We're gonna talk about bricks, and I got a movie, and I said I was gonna do a movie clip that shows what's happening in the world, and then Zechariah 2. We said we was gonna end with that. So I'll start at Revelation 18:8 and just check behind me, y'all. Revelation 18:8. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is Yahweh Elohim who judgeth her. Somebody go ahead and read 10 for me.
Verse 10.
Con.
Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come.
Con. So we got her plagues come in one day, we got her plagues come in 1 hour, and then we read Isaiah 47:9 to do the Sharash Ibar, in a moment, in one day. Revelation 18:17. Somebody read that for me.
Revelation 18, verse 17. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off.
And with that verse specifically, I wanted to show this clip of the ships, because I had a good chance to look at it when we had, the shutdown, and all of the electronics and stuff were getting back ordered, and they just showed the seacoast and all of those items just stuck. So we have ports in California, we got ports on the East Coast, I think some ports Florida area too. And that's another witness to where we're at and what these prophecies are talking about, because the shipmasters and the men who trade by sea, even China, they all come to these ports to deliver our TVs, Xbox, computers, and all of the cars and all of those things.
Didn't we see them fighter jets that day when I called you? I was at the job, and me, you, and the rider was on the phone, and I was like, bro, there's 2 fighter jets flying across the sky. I think you saw them too.
Yeah. I was in the car. Yeah, we did. And then somebody grab verse 19 real quick.
And they cast dust on their heads and cried, and weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city, where they rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. But in 1 hour she is made desolate.
For in 1 hour she is made desolate. So we have 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 hour, and in a moment. We can meditate on that. We can take it, literal. We can take it to see the figurative context of it. But we know the judgment is coming. Anybody have any comments?
So when you look at South America, Venezuela, Brazil, Colombia, these countries, we've seen, it appears to us all of a sudden, but we know they have been going through things and experienced turmoil, and all of a sudden, fall, the money first, they showing you stacks of money. It takes, I don't even know how many dollars to buy eggs or chicken or whatever it is. So they're saying at the same time, it's all of a sudden this happened, but you see all of these things leading up to all the turmoil that they've experienced.
I agree with that. I do. I agree with that right there. To them, it's going to be all of a sudden,
Right.
but to us, it's not. And I think that might be the best way to say it. So this scripture right here is circling all the way back to the beginning of the class. So like the end from the beginning, circling all the way back to the beginning of the class. We talked about where they were stationing the ships and stationing the nuclear warheads off the East Coast, which has never been done. Hawaii, and I think he said one other place, right? So this scripture right here, Jeremiah 50:9. Anthony, check behind me and read it for me.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 9. For behold, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country.
An assembly of great nations. So now he's telling you, I'm bringing more than one nation from the north country, which is the lands on the outermost parts of the earth. Tazapon. Continue.
And they shall array themselves against her.
They shall set themselves up against her.
Wow.
Go ahead.
There she shall be captured. Their arrows shall be like those of an expert warrior. None shall return in vain.
Their missiles shall be as a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain, meaning
They all want to hit the mark.
they ain't gonna miss. Has anybody heard of this before?
Yes.
Explain it.
I have.
You want to explain it, Joe? Can? Oh, you want Gerald to do it? Okay. Go ahead, Gerald. Go ahead, Gerald.
So the BRICS nations is like, so prior to, like, without going too long in a short synopsis, prior to 2008 with the crash and all of that stuff like that, they talked about doing it. But they really didn't until like after the crash in 2008. That triggered a whole lot of world events where these countries came together. It's all really trying to decouple from the United States dollar and their control that they have, you know, over the world with the Federal Reserve and the central banks and all that stuff like that. And they trying to all decouple and come together so they don't have to be under the control of like whatever America sanctions, because you know America, like if they sanction all of these companies, countries, it kind of cripple them and stuff and what they can do. So they all trying to come together to decouple from the dollar and America's control. And I think it's Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, and I forgot who the S is.
It's India. It's India right now.
India. Yeah, my bad. China, and then whatever the S is.
Africa.
South Africa, yeah. And they all like right now, like working together, trying to orchestrate, like even with the oil and stuff like that, they trying to do like, instead of the petrodollar, they trying to come up with something else. And it's like I said, ultimately to just break free from America because they tired of America bullying people and doing what they're doing.
So he just explained it. The other video was a minute, like 50 seconds explained it, but Gerald just explained it. But so we said it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now Saudi Arabia wants to join BRICS as well as Iran. That's why Gerald said Iran, because he probably already know that. And this clip right here is going to show that. And then I'm going to just show like a couple minutes of them ships being surrounded and then show y'all the predictive programming and then Zechariah 2, and then that's it.
And here's another battle that the West is fighting, a battle of narratives. a battle to win new allies, only that it is failing miserably at this. Forget new allies. Even old friends of the West are ditching it, like Saudi Arabia. First, it refused to ramp up oil production for the European Union, and now it wants to be a part of BRICS, a bloc of 5 major emerging economies, including China and Russia. The president of South Africa says Riyadh is interested in joining this bloc. Why? Our next report telling you.
Wow.
This is Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa. On Sunday, he visited the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and made a stunning revelation. Ramaphosa said that Riyadh wants to join BRICS, a bloc of 5 major emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Saudi Arabia wants to be its 6th member. At least that's what Ramaphosa claims. Here's what he said during the visit. The Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman did express Saudi Arabia's desire to be part of BRICS. That's not all. The South African president says Saudi Arabia is not the only country. A couple of others are keen on joining as well. Watch this.
They have a great desire, and they are not the only country that is finding the BRICS family or a formation attractive. That's what BRICS stands for. And so we did say to them, the BRICS nations are going to be meeting in a summit next year under the chairship of South Africa, in South Africa. And the matter is going to be under consideration. And already a number of countries or nations have been making approaches to each of the BRICS members, and we've given them the same answer, that it will be discussed by the BRICS partners themselves, 5 of them, and thereafter a decision will be made.
So how does one perceive this? Why are so many countries keen on joining BRICS? And what about the Saudis? What's their intention? To answer this, we'll first have to understand the purpose of BRICS. It was established to serve as an alternative to Western blocs, to counter their hegemony in geopolitics and the global economy.
So the opposite of America.
Riyadh's bid to join BRICS an attempt to disassociate itself from the West? It surely seems like it, because Saudi Arabia's relations with Washington have hit a new low. Look at some recent developments. OPEC Plus has refused Biden's request to ramp up oil production. It then snubbed Biden's threats with a sharply worded statement. Then, as if to rub salt on injury, an American citizen has been sentenced to 16 years in prison in the kingdom. This was followed by another snub. Saudi Arabia did not extend an invitation to American officials for an investment conference scheduled for later this month. And now Saudi Arabia wants to join BRICS. It all seems to be part of a strategy. Saudi Arabia's push to decouple itself from the United States and ultimately the West. View the report. We on.
If they join BRICS, what does and if they're snubbing the president of the United States, when have y'all ever seen a president get disrespected like Biden is getting disrespected? They're the ones that produce the oil, and the dollar is on the oil standard, basically, right? The money has to be traded in dollars for you to purchase the oil from them. Right. So if he cuts them off, it's over. What that lady say?
It's over.
It's over.
It's over. Anybody remember Muammar Gaddafi? Yeah. So he wanted to take them back to the gold standard. Yes, sir. And so what happens is you have this propaganda, and they'll start telling you these different countries are killing their people. They're poisoning their people. They're releasing cyanide gas. Well, that's what the American government does. That's why they have the CIA. They send them out there. They use them like guerrilla warfare, and they go infiltrate these other countries. And they pay people off to go run and do this stuff. They have, I can't think of the name, but it's like a black budget. So when the military orders just cases of water, you know, you get 24 waters for $4 at the grocery store. Well, when the military orders it, it's like $16. That's how they funnel their money out. They hide their money, and these government agencies have black budgets. So that's really where your money is. 37 trillion, but the little stuff they doing, all that stuff, they choose your money to funnel to these other countries. Because when, like I said, when they go away from this US dollar, so that's when they're dead. So you're gonna start seeing more propaganda about how these other countries are so bad. Well, that ain't none of your business. But you so worried about them, you not taking care of people here. We gotta end world hunger. You ain't at the nation's home. What you talking about?
That's kind. That's kind. So is it a coincidence that the Most High says, for lo, I will, Jeremiah 50:9, I will raise up and cause to come against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the land of the north. And it says that from thence shall she be taken, and their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain. So now we saw a little bit about it earlier, and I think he got some music in here. We saw a little bit about it earlier, and we're seeing that Russia is getting itself in position in the waters to be able to do whatever it is they're gonna do. We can let the Most High, I mean, we can let, you know, deductive reasoning tell us what they're getting ready to do.
Going on. Apparently, we as the United States are slowly getting surrounded by Russian ships. And why isn't the news talking about this? We're talking about Russian warships, nuclear warheads, and hypersonic missiles, and it's not even on the news. And Russian ships off the coast of Hawaii, not even 25 miles. And this has been going on for weeks. And it's just starting to emerge in the news now, I think, because there's so many of us out there reporting on it. They probably feel like they need to start getting on it. And of course, numerous reports of them being up off the coast of Alaska. Many people reporting that they continue to get chased off. But if you're anything like me, what you're noticing is a trend of them just closing in. So the big question is this concerning to you? And what type of threat does this pose? Let's go over the details of each situation.
I'm gonna just let them go through the first one.
You guys are brand new here to our awesome community. Welcome. If you like emergency preparedness, how-tos, prepping tips, and news that might affect you, be sure to hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date. Let's jump into this one. So like I said, I'm seeing all kinds of reports. There's only a handful of YouTuber preppers out there that are reporting on this. We apparently have Russian nuclear missile ships off the coast. We've got many reports up near Alaska. We've got reports of them being off the Hawaiian coast, not even 25 miles. And the new one creating all the buzz is the one off the East Coast, supposedly a Russian hypersonic nuclear tipped missile ship with nuclear warheads and hypersonic missiles. And this one is expected to only be around 100 miles off the coast. So is it just me, or does it look like we're slowly getting surrounded? And more so, what's the probability of an attack? And if they did happen to get crazy and pull a trigger, what are the effects? Let's go over it. So let's start with Alaska.
That's all we really needed because we covered it a little bit earlier. It seemed like the players are getting in position. That's all I can say. That is fulfilling the will of the Most High. And it seems to, that we have identified, this Babylon that the Most High has been talking about in Jeremiah, in Revelation 18, and Revelation 17, Isaiah 47, Psalms 137 that we covered last week. And it seems that we're able to see things unfold as the days go on. And now it seems like everything is starting to be in place. So how many of y'all seen the movie called Red Dawn? So there was an old one and then there's a new one. Yeah, so there's one in 1984, every predictive programming movie ever, I believe, came out that year. Because I think that came out in 1984 too. And that's the same year Terminator came out, the Blade Runners came out, all of that predictive programming stuff came out in 1984. So that was wild. So this is a trailer, and then there's a minute of the opening scene or one of the main scene, and see what, how this correlates predictive programming wise to the prophecy, and then what, was just shown. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
Good year, right? Readings actually.
How long are you here for?
A few weeks.
One out.
Blackout may run along the entire northwest corridor.
This broadcast, you are in a part of the country no longer controlled by the government of the United States.
Who was that?
Boys, I love you both, but I want you to do what I would do. Kill this piece. This is the wrong family.
Of course, they're gonna turn it into a heroic. That's the wrong family.
Right, anybody who wants to join is welcome to. We'll hit them on our terms. For the war, we create chaos. You need to feel that weapon. If you're so old, we need to take our homes back.
Yes, you can.
Squeeze. Carry our freedom. Now it's up to all of us to fight for it.
So the scripture says that the men are gonna be afraid to fight, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna be afraid to fight. Let's get that scene where they're invading, and that's literally, this is the last slide.
What's going on? I got no reception. Try the radio.
EMP? Where we at? I think there is one, though. I think there is one. I think there is. I think I see, because I watched the movie.
Well, technically, he would have been in your journal. His daddy's white.
Okay, let us, well, go ahead, Gerald, yeah, and then we'll read Zechariah 2, and because I want to end it on something positive.
No, you can go ahead, because I wanted to, well, no, it's a question for you to kind of go back to something, the enchantment scripture, because I thought you was going to bring out something in that verse, but you didn't really go into it like I thought. So I wanted to tie it back and then ask Jody Ann something. Jody Ann there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because she used to be an Adventist, so I wanted her to explain something because I'm trying to turn something in.
All right, so it's Isaiah 47:9.
Yeah, the one that said the enchantments when he first brought out the Illuminati connection, and then it said how the land outside of, well, what word it used? The word it used when, what's that word you broke down?
Which one? So you talking about Kabar for enchantments, or are you talking about Tazapon for the lands that's
the one that was in the scripture? Yeah, the ones for the lands out. The one that go back to the verse. Go back to the scripture.
you talking about this one? Can you see the screen?
I see the screen. Not that one. What's that verse? What's that verse you had up? I think we pulled it up on like the blue letter or something, and it was talking about
this.
Yeah, pull that verse back up.
Isaiah 47.
Right here.
The two things are coming. Nah, the one that said the enchantments in the beginning, and then it said at the end how the rest of the land will be desolate, or the one that you said the hindermost one. Yeah. Now where that? Let me pull it up myself. Jeremiah 50 verse 12. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, it was this one. This is the one I was talking about. Yeah, and then I asked you, because you put up the hindermost, I actually was going to break down the second part. The hindermost, so the last of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land and a desert. So we are to assume that we're talking about, this is where you connected America as being that nation that you're talking about.
Yeah, because hindermost means the most recent of the strong nations, or the latter time strong kingdom. Yeah.
Got you. So yeah, so I that's what I thought. Yeah, so the bottom of Daniel's statue, like the feet, whatever that kingdom that's ruling over. Well, I mean that's divided Rome, but so yeah, so are we to take that America is going to be in a desolate state when it's all said and done? Ain't nobody going to inhabit America no more.
Correct.
When we go back into the land.
Correct.
Okay, now Jody Ann, from your remembrance as an Adventist, because I know y'all believe that, well, they believe that during 1,000 years, nobody's going to be on the earth. The whole earth is going to be desolate. And they kind of take some of these prophecies and they kind of apply it to that. But it kind of the reason why my uncle can't get the fact that we're going to be in the land on earth during that time is because he's taught doctrinally that the whole earth is going to be desolate. Satan is going to be on the earth. The earth will be his abyss in a dark state. Nobody will be here for him to tempt. And we're going to be in heaven with Christ. I guess is what they think. So that's right, Jody.
Yes, that's correct. That's what they teach.
Yeah. So with that being said, I was just saying how and I kind of alluded to it last week, how, every religion, and Marah said all the time, like everything they taught us in church went wrong. We just got to be able to decode it and dissect and then put it together. And that's why when I talk to other people from other religions, I try to listen for common ground before I try to shoot down what they said, because more than 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you something that is going to make sense to you. You just have to tie it to what they're missing and then present it in a way, hopefully, where they'll understand it. And I think because of all of these prophecies that you're breaking down and you're bringing out, they view like the whole earth in a desolate state only because doctrinally they're blind at the whole teaching and idea of us being in the land on the earth. They don't believe nobody will be on the earth. So to understand that America will be desolate, are we to believe that Israel from Zion in that region, that's the promised land, and other than the land that we designate to the nations that do that we do assign lot, that do cleave and do follow us, is the rest of the world also going to be desolate from anybody's understanding based on prophecy, or is it just going to be America?
This is what I was thinking about a few minutes ago, Gerald. Literally what you're talking about right now, because a lot of times, well, one thing I've been thinking about since all of this stuff has been going on, I'd say right before Shamar played that Red Dawn preview, people forget about Yellowstone, because I was thinking about the bottomless pit. So if all of these bombs, supersonic nukes, all of this stuff goes on, who's to say that, because isn't this smoke supposed to be seen throughout the entire earth? Okay, now how would it be possible for that to happen? This is just me speculating. Now, that too, there is a way for them to broadcast it through the internet. So that is one way. But if this volcano goes off, it's connected through a channel to the ring of fire. So that's what had my mind racing. I'm like, okay, if this does happen, and it's in the Most High's will for this to happen, because in Baruch, it says that all nations that touched Israel are going to be judged too. So I started thinking about that and outer darkness. Well, what is outer darkness if we're going to be in the kingdom of heaven on the earth? What is the outer darkness going to be? So I don't have any witnesses to confirm or deny, Gerald, but I was thinking about that as the class was going forward. So with that information, I mean, y'all can take it and do your study and push it further, but maybe that thought might help spark something somewhere.
Sure, because I'm thinking out of darkness, I mean, anywhere outside of Zion, anywhere outside of the kingdom, anywhere outside of where, you know, we will be, where the Most High will be blessing his people, you know. But like I said, I was just looking for more precepts to be able to present that.
There's nothing that I know that's definitive. You just become speculation. Right. There's nothing definitive.
Yeah, there's nothing definitive. The closest thing we got, I think me and Nariah read yesterday, Isaiah 24 or something like that. But
care what it looks like outside of Zion.
Yeah, I think we can't really say. But we know it's gonna be some nations outside of Zion because they have to come up to Zion. But we just don't know, you know, about the desolation of those who did touch Israel, because most of all those people are supposed to be gone anyway. So yeah, but that's a good thought process. And I just wanted to close out with like the prophecy of Zechariah 2, because that's literally what made me inspired me to do the class. And it's a positive to the prophecy for us. So I just wanted to finish it off with a positive. Nariah can read it for us.
Shemai. The whole chapter.
Yeah, it's just 13 verses.
Shemaiah.
Shemaiah.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 2. I lifted up mine eyes again, and I looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, Whither goest thou? And he said unto me, To measure Yerushalayim, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said unto him, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for the multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, saith Yahweh, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, come forth, and flee from the land of the north, saith Yahweh. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, saith Yahweh. Deliver yourself, O Tazawan, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. For thus saith Yahweh Tazabah, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye. For, behold, I will shake mine hand upon them, and they shall be a spoil to their servants. And you shall know that Yahweh Tazabah hath sent me.
So real quick, that verse, he's saying now we serve them. They're going to become a spoil to us.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 10, sing and rejoice, O daughter of Tazawan, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith Yahweh. And many nations shall be joined to Yahweh in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of you, and you shall know that Yahweh Tazabah hath sent me unto you. And Yahweh shall inherit Yahweh, his portion in the holy land, and shall choose Yerushalayim again. Be silent, O all flesh, before Yahweh, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation.
All praise to the Most High for that. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all patience. This is what
add something to what Gerald was asking about. Zechariah 14:17.
Go ahead.
I do want to say, like, out of darkness, the in Olivia uses the dark, hence darkness, figuratively, misery, destruction, death, ignorance, sorrow, wickedness. So now I'm gonna read Zechariah 14. I ain't gonna read all of it. I'm just gonna read verse 17.
Go ahead.
Starting at 12, crazy. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Yasharal to worship the King, Yahweh Zabaoth, even upon them shall be no rain. So we know we need rain to water the earth, to give us our crops, to be prosperous, to have that milk and honey. So if they don't come up to worship with us, if they don't fall under his law, they're in obscurity, they're in darkness. 18, and if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, and they have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Most High will strike the heathen that come not up to the Feast of Tabernacles. That's all.
Yeah, so that verse iterates that the nations that come not up to honor the feast that the Most High commanded them to do, then he's gonna cause drought, famine, desolation upon their lands and withhold the rain. So there's gonna be lands, and those are probably the nations that didn't touch us, but that's kind of all we got to go off of right now. So I'll let Marat come back up. I appreciate y'all.
Somebody give him time.
This is the first time I can remember, like, people was asking questions or talking from the very beginning to the very end. So,
hallelujah.
I know we're ready to eat, but what Zamaria was bringing out, what he said that this is really wartime, is serious. So I want to go real back to one of his slides. Nariah, get Genesis 27, because I want to get the Most High his due, his glory. So y'all hold your stomach for a couple seconds. Where's the slide at with the showing the America with all their bases? The slide showing all the bases America has around the world.
it was a video. I did have a picture of it too.
There's a picture of it with dots on it. Is that a video?
That was a video.
Okay. All right. So just to drive home the point that, well, I want y'all to keep in mind, I know it's a lot of information. I chopped this down and put it into 2 videos for the replay, but to give the Most High his glory and let y'all know what Zamaria was saying, that it's wartime. This whole breakdown came from him knowing the original language that the land of the north is Tazapon. The land of the north means being scattered. So this is Deuteronomy 30. He's being healed. You're being healed. And this revelation is going on high. This is also tying together with destroying Christian dogma. All the shaking and, oh, the spirits in here. Let's get this organ playing. This is not fun time. This is not fun time. This is war time. Because the plagues are coming. And if you're not obedient, if you're just gathering to have a good time, you're going to be slaughtered with the rest of the heathens. So this is the Most High healing his people. And that one slide is showed all the bases of Babylon. I want y'all to go to Genesis 27, because we're going to give the Most High his glory, his honor, because this is the Most High's word coming true. Coming true.
I'm muted so you can talk. You'll see it come up.
And when we get there, can you pause it?
Well, go ahead and hit play. Hit play at the top where like it's kind of covered up. Play. It's down there. I can see
right here. Go ahead and get us set up. Because the scripture's going to come alive with this image. A lot of people, the unlearned or the new people need images for things to hit home. Whoops, leave it back. Because what Verge was alluding to, no, actually he said it, they're putting things in movies. It's like they know our scrolls are true. Y'all been reading our scrolls and you know our records are true. And like I said, show me your Quran, show me your Book of Mormon, show me your religious text that's calling things from the end, from the beginning. Our text, our power, our Father told us these things were going to happen in the Book of Genesis. It was just he had the dots of all the military bases around the world that the U.S. has.
I think you went past there's a little before. Yeah, right before it.
It's showing the military spending, the military power of the United States, right?
It's a little before that 800. There it is.
So this,
okay.
For those online, right here, this is
I know
it's all right. It's all right. We're gonna eat. Y'all gonna be all right. We got to give the Most High his honor and his glory. People want to call us scholars. And man, listen, don't call me no scholar. Don't call me no Moray. I'm a soldier. I'm a soldier. This is the Most High healing his people. It's Most High. This brother only been here, what, 2 years? 3 years? And I don't have to indoctrinate him. He's doing the work. He's seeking the Father, and you're seeing the fruit.
Why is it skipping over it? Y'all see that?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Take your time.
Like it's flashing right past it now. That's the one y'all saying right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is it doing that?
That's fine. We can lay it in. Right there.
Oh,
right there.
Okay.
So
let me let it.
There you go.
Keep it right here. This is an image of all the military bases that United States had. Well, Salakia.
200.
He said I couldn't even put all the dots on the screen.
Yeah.
So he said these are 200 dots, but he said it's like 800 bases.
Wow.
The United States have more military bases around the world than any other nation. Nariah, can you bring out Genesis 27?
Real quick, what I was mentioning earlier, notice how America's in the middle, but Europe is in the west on the foremost left picture. And there's not really many bases on that continent. I'm not really good at geography, but that landmass over there.
Right. So
Genesis 27, you said what verse?
This is Genesis 27. We're just going to finish the chapter at verse 38. This is when the Most High, because the Most High, Jacob steals the inheritance from Esau. And Esau is crying to Isaac. And listen to what Isaac tells Uncle Esau. Everyone's there. This is powerful. Genesis 27, starting at verse 38. We there?
Yes, sir.
Read.
And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, Your dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth.
Shall be what?
The fatness of the earth.
His dwelling shall be what?
The fatness of the earth, the entirety of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by your sword shall you live.
By what?
By your sword shall you live.
By what?
By war shall you live. And shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass when you shall have the dominion, you shall break his yoke from off your neck.
Wow.
So Esau has broken the yoke of Jacob off his neck. Esau is America, but I don't want you to focus on what he looks like now, because everyone, he's the white man, and it's not accurate. Think of me, or me being Esau, and I go off and start marrying and having children with unmelanated people for hundreds, thousands of years. My seed is going to be non-melanated, but the root, the bloodline is Shemitic. The bloodline is Hebrew. So America, Rome is Esau, but don't focus on the skin color. His bloodline is Hebrew. Esau is running the world, and America is Esau. Our father called it from the beginning. All praise to the Most High Yah. With that, any comments or questions, concerns? Gerald, you had something out?
That's good, Marah.
Not a time to go to sleep at the wheel right now. It's not a time, even you babes in here, y'all don't have the time to put in. Just y'all hearing this, you're gonna be under attack. And you're gonna think something wrong with you. I'm having a bad day. I'm just in a bad mood. Wow. It's spiritual attacks because you're getting the true vine. You're getting the true root of where we're supposed to be. So you can't be willy-nilly at your job, in your house. Speak this word all throughout your house. Keep this app playing all day long. That's how you're going to fight these spirits of lust, the spirit of depression, anxiety. It's not a coincidence. It didn't get passed down for no reason. The devil knew you was going to be waking up, and he wants you to stay in your darkness.
This is last hurrah, y'all.
This is his last hurrah. I'm sorry.